Good morning. Welcome to Morning Moments. I'm so glad that you took the time to join us this morning. I have a guest from, he's in the filmmaking business from Capernaum Studios, Tim Shields, and he'll tell you a little bit more about himself and what he does and some of the things that he's been working on. Tim Shields, welcome to Morning Moments. Thank you for
Thank you very much. It's great to be here.
Tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me, what do you do and why do you do it?
Yeah, well, why I do it is that I live for Jesus. I have lived for him for 37 years. And many years ago, when I was a teenager, he drastically and quickly pulled me out of pornography. And I just surrendered my life to him. He changed my life totally. And since then, which has been 37 years since I was a senior in high school, I live for him. So now I have the mantle of media on my life. And I say that humbly. I don't say that boastfully. And many times I like to run from that mantle, but I have that mantle in my life, and I have for since 1985 that I recognize that. And so I've been in media since 85. And now what I do in media now is that I put together and plan and execute a conference for filmmakers, podcasters, communicators, and those that have talk shows twice a year at Capernaum Studios. And also I work as an employee at Capernaum Studios, where we just finished completing a movie that we had about 500 people work on. Took about 3 years, called Washington's Armor, about young George Washington when he was 21 and the journey he had to go through as a young man. So that's kind of what I do. But ultimately it boils down to I live for Jesus and will for the rest of my life.
It takes a lot of moving parts to in the movie industry to get movies rolling and out there distributed and things to be known about it, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. I mean, this movie took about 500 people to work on it, but yes, moving parts. You start with the script, and the script has to be looked at and tweaked and redone, and that could take many times looking at it and redoing it, because it's got to be, palatable for the screen. And then after that, then it's got to be, okay, you take the production team. Okay, you hire like a producer, and the producer pulls all the moving parts together to make sure that at one day, sometime in the future, we can all come together and shoot this film. Sometimes it's 30 days, sometimes it's 60 days, sometimes it's 90 days, or it's just, bits and pieces, depending on if the locations are differently. And when that's finished, then you go to post and you edit it and you put in all the sound and the music and the color grading. And by that time, if everything has gone well, let's just say on step one, you had all the funds you needed. And so it probably would take you at least 2 to 3 years. I would say maybe if you had all the funds, probably 2 years. But then after it's all finished and done, and it's then you got to market it, distribute it. That could take another year of doing special screenings and premieres and all that. So it takes a lot of time and sacrifice.
Yeah. I see a lot of folks that I interviewed, talked to, what they're working on now, and then I look and there's like 4 or 5 things there in post-production waiting to be released, but they're still filming and moving on and getting ready for the next great whatever that God's got for them.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. So if somebody wanted to kind of look at Washington's Armor, which is the movie that Tammy Lane just put out from Capernaum Studios, they would just go to washingtonsarmor.com, that website, and it'll have some links to where they can watch it and view it or rent it. Yeah. And of course, it's about young George Washington when he was 21. So it's an amazing movie. So, and they're going to put 2 more movies out about young George Washington.
Oh, great. It really comes down also to the story, doesn't it? Getting somebody's vision for that story that started in their head, and then making it a reality so people can visualize it. It's and hoping that story will reach people and with great meaning and with great purpose.
You're absolutely right about that. The story does content is king, and that content's got to have a good story. Or let's just say this, it's got to be written to where it keeps people's attention. So that involves the script writer, that involves the director, that involves the director of photography with the angles and the cinematography, that involves the editor. And without all those people and the music and the sound effects to come together to accent and keep you engaged on the story.
I was just, when you were talking, I was just thinking, it's not unlike our walk with Christ. It takes so many different people behind the scenes to bring us where we should be in Christ. It's just not a one man journey. It's a journey of, leaders and pastors and encouragers and small groups and people, iron sharpening iron. And when I think about through the years of my 50, 58, 59 years of salvation, how many people along the way has helped me get to my walk with Christ and where I'm at.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Now, when I accepted Christ 37 years ago as a teenager, then there has been several people along the way that have helped me to grow, be discipled, and get to a point to where I can be the man I need to be in Christ. There's no question about that, bro. That is good. Now, I would suggest this, if I could, Andy, is that I think everyone, if they can, should have some trusted friends that have your best interest in mind.
Yeah.
Circled around them. Okay. If it's one trusted friend or two or three, but it's a trusted friend that at any time during the day or at night, you can text them or call them and say, I need you to pray for me right now. And they won't try to, lower you or destroy you or throw you under the bus. They're going to now lift you up and speak and pray the promises of God over you, and also be able to tell the evil one to leave in your life and just start to be there for you so you can find the answers to your prayers or the answers to challenges or to mountains in your life. You need that. Everyone needs that.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest, that's one of the largest keys, I would say. If there was just like a handful of keys to living this life out successfully, and I'm not talking financially, I'm just talking all around, is one would be having trusted people that will encircle you to help you grow in Christ and help you in your time of need and be there in your time of joy and happiness.
I think a good way to look at it, and made me think about it last year, because my father died last year. And when he was going through hospice and I was involved in helping him with that last journey he was taking, there was a few people I called on. And if you're wondering, do I have those people? Think about if something happened today,
Mm-hmm.
who would you call?
Right.
Who would be your encouragement that would do those things that Tim was talking about? And if you don't have that surrounding you, it's probably a good idea to start building relationships to have that strong base, so that time of crisis is not a time of new revelation. It's a time to go on what you know. And often people try to reach out and make friends in the middle of crisis, where that should have been done a long time ago. And then you could call on those key people. Like you said, it's important to have key people that'll be with you.
That's right. I 100% agree. It's in times of crisis, obviously many people reach out to like their pastor or maybe a leader in the church, which is good. I would encourage that 100%.
Mhm.
And because I've been a pastor for many years, I think people should reach out. But at the same time, I have some trusted close friends that I call also. And they're always been, they're there with me, and they're there to pray for me and lift me up and do whatever is needed. So without that, I don't know how I would have gotten through life
No, absolutely not.
without making some really bad decisions,
Yeah.
right?
Yep. Yep. Experience comes from bad decision, or from experience comes from bad decisions, and or we make good decisions because of experience. but experience does come from bad decisions. So we take our bad decisions and say, what can I learn from it? And in that, we make better decisions based on what we've gone through or what others have gone through. So it's nice to hear people say, well, I've gone through some of that too, brother or sister, and this is what you need to do. That's the counsel you need to hear.
Absolutely. Well, we were just, I remember we were in a small group years ago, and this lady was telling, just pouring her heart to the whole small group about how she could not lose weight. And this has been a bondage in her life. She couldn't figure out, she tried all these different diets. So we surrounded her and we prayed over her, right? And it broke it. And she started losing weight, and she could manage that. I don't know what it was. I just know that we surrounded her, and that agreement of people that loved her broke whatever it was in her life. Now, recently, I was talking to a lady on the phone just yesterday. I was telling her a need in my life. It was just a friend. I was saying, she was asking, how can I pray for you? And I said, well, this is how you can pray for me. I'm in the middle of a move and I have this one need. And she spoke into my life that one need, and it broke my concern and my the burden that I was carrying about this need. Okay. And that's why it's a need just to have these people in your life
Yeah.
that can speak that. They're not part of the battle necessarily. They're actually looking at the battle. And because sometimes we're in the battle, we can't necessarily see the answer or experience the answer. But since they're not actually necessarily in the battle, they can look down at the battle and speak into it.
Yes,
Right?
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Tim, it has been an absolute delight and thrilled to be able to have you speak and share in Morning Moments. I do appreciate it. Down below, I'm going to put uh, links where you could see the movies he was talking about, movies that their studio is producing, how to be involved in other things. Maybe you're in the industry and you want to know more about content. It's 2022, but they have this on, and I'm trying to find out a little bit more about it myself. So there's down below, there's going to be some links for you to get a hold of to check this out. More important than that, some of this message today needs to be passed on to others. If you know somebody that needs to hear this word, please pass this interview on. And I also want you to take time today after this interview is over and take a few seconds and pray for Tim Shields. Pray that God would continue to use him in a great and mighty way in the calling that God has given him. These things happen by prayer, and we need to unite in prayer and pray for one another. And sometimes people go, I don't know who to pray for. Well, today, pray for Tim and lift him up in prayer, if you would, please. Thank you, Tim, for sharing in Morning Moments today with us.
Thank you for allowing me to be here.
Thank you for coming to Morning Moments. And I'm going to ask you if you would, please keep coming back, and may God bless you.